Hey, welcome back. Doing a little roasting for Roaster's Choice. We've got some blends here on the table. Just some things that I think in theory would kind of taste well together. For the person who was asking about IT or AT, it's now been updated to now say IT, which is this blue number here that you'll see. And that's like 700 some degrees, right? So my fuel input right now is about 0.2 kPa. We're just doing a little preheating while I take you through what we're going to do today. But anyway, this IT number is basically the temperature of the flames, of the air that's coming off of the flames of the burners. I hope I said that right. I'll put a correction if I didn't. I basically called up Mill City Roasters and I said, curious. I said, I'll investigate, which I did. I gave them a call and talked about some other things with the software, RoastPath. And so they told me it was the air that's coming off of the burners, basically, the hot air that's coming off of the burners. So this number being so high is normal, okay? And my follow-up question to that was, okay, if I have this data set, IT, how does a roaster incorporate this data point into their roasting process? Because I was like, I just never even looked at that number, I only look at what I know confidently what I'm doing. And so with the act of learning all the time, I was like, what am I going to do with this number? My other theory, my speculation or assumption was like, okay, well, because he couldn't really answer me. I know it was a kind of a subjective question, personal preference, roaster's question. But basically how I see it is like, now that I know about this number, IT, AT, because it'll be AT in maybe some other roast softwares, is that it's going to hover around this temperature, maybe 700 to 800, which is normal. If it's not at that number, then I know something may be wrong with the burners, maybe with airflow or something like that. So it's cool in terms of like just knowing more about your machine, how your machine works, because every machine's, yes, generally if it's a drum roaster, it's going to roast it in a similar way. You're using convection and conduction to roast the coffee. But every machine, the manufacturer will have designed it a certain way, right? So it's good if you have a Mill City roaster and you want to know more about how this particular machine roasts the coffee, it's good to go talk to the manufacturer, right? If you have a D-Trick, you should talk to D-Trick manufacturers. If you have a Gießen, talk to Gießen manufacturers, because they made it a certain way and they know the capabilities and the potential of their machine. Make sense? And that's why, we can't really compare all the time, apples to apples all the time. We can share theory. We have different roasting machines, even a home roasting machine like, like a Gene Cafe. We still have the same theory, but now we maybe stretch or play with those concepts and theories to match the capability of the machine, okay? So, yeah, that was just something I want to share. So, yeah, we're hovering around 775.6, 0.5 Fahrenheit IT, and that's just, what's coming off the burners there, okay? So, yeah, it's going to be high. Cool. All right. So let's see what happens with the IT when we charge the coffee. I'm going to be at full power. And we basically have a mix here, a lower elevation and a mid to high elevation coffee in here, right? Pre-blend, roasting together. Now, I forget which theory it is, but in some way, how heat is applied to both of these coffees will not be as uneven as I think you would think. But we'll see. This is theory, right? So we're gonna cup it. We do sort of accelerated cupping today. Let's see how it tastes. And we're not gonna go for a light roast. I think a sort of general way, sort of speaking generally, to homogenize the roasting of this coffee is to lean more into a medium territory, because then you can sort of even out the flavors or even out any potential inconsistencies of a low elevation and a high elevation by just going to that, leaning more into that medium level. You incorporate the more chocolates, and you roast it longer, right? Just have more roastier flavors. Again, theory. We've got to cup it to verify, but that's what I'm thinking. Okay, we're getting yellow, we're getting yellow. I recently checked my airflow by using the lighter trick, and it was interesting because before I cleaned my roaster and everything, my medium flow was like at a 55 and now it's at a 50. So that little incremental change, it's good to always just kind of like check. Also, what will be coming soon, as soon as it's available, I will be updating my probe, which is in this, my bean temperature probe, which is located, I think, right here, right? I'm going to update this. It's a 5mm probe, which means it's not the most responsive probe I could get. So I spent an extra $25, install it myself, hopefully correctly, hook it up to a little fidget thingy over there, and hopefully in turn that gives me more accurate readings so I can make a little bit more accurate decisions. I don't know, I'm down to spend $25, that's nothing, in order to see what's up with this upgrading of a probe. And what we're going to do is go with a 3mm probe for more sensitivity. That's the tricky part, is like, as a new coffee, this is technically a new coffee because it's a pre-blend. I've never roasted this before. You see how it approaches first crack? See the speed? We watch our ROR. And if we're maybe going too fast, we have two things that we can change. We can change air and we can change fuel. Air is a little bit more like less dramatic, whereas changing fuel is more dramatic. Or more aggressive, you could say. So you can kind of use both of those. That's kind of what I do, sort of craft roaster. I think in a commercial setting would be a little bit more standardized and make less movements at the roaster. Alright, there's our outlier cracks. First crack, 743, 370.7. Perfectly normal for the first roast out of the gate. So we're on max air. My fuel is like at 0.2. But to counter this max air coming through, I will continuously watch my fuel and kind of predict that I'll probably need about 1.4 APA fuel coming back out to carry me through in the final phase. espresso. And I know they drink it, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they drink it black. And they have it with milk. So I want to give them something that I can do on both ends. So I'm going to roast this. We'll come back and cup them real quick. Like an accelerated cupping. Okay, update. 14% loss. So we're checking all these little boxes to let us know, are we on the track of creating that roast that we had envisioned, right? In the end, still got to cup it. Okay, still got to cup it, still got to check. And we're not only saying, hey, is this a medium roast? We're also going to say, oh, I see how those flavors homogenize or not, right? For pre-blends, of course. Especially, have to check that stuff. All right, still roasting this one, our higher elevation coffee. We want it to be a lot of flavors, or definitely like dark fruits. We want dark fruits in this pre-blend of coffee. Okay, let's see. Deliberation time. Again, we're not having 24 hours of rest with these, but I ground them up. I waited like an hour with them just being exposed to air. We cupped them with water that's basically super purified, so you have to take that into account as well. And how that affects the taste is actually, I think it gives it like a less body and less depth of flavor. So we're really just going to be tasting, I think, a lot of the sort of high notes, maybe not so much middle notes. We're going to have to predict based off like past knowledge what this coffee will taste like in different brews and at different rest periods. But I think it validates the point that we were making at the roaster, which is, okay, with this faster, shorter middle phase, leaning into a more medium, light medium roast profile versus this one, which I was like full-blown medium. Also considering the green that was being used in these blends, it all checks out. So this is roasty, but still some great acidity in the cup. It's sort of that soft, it's a little harsh in that we are considering its rest period, its roast level and all that stuff, right? It's roasty, but it's still got that zing. I call the zing, which is like acidity in the cup retained. And that is coming from not the Brazil, but I think that Colombian. So we're getting some like brighter colored fruits in here. Nothing is really delicate about it. And I think any sort of like delicate flavors or nuance in flavors would be sort of evened out, keeled over by that Brazil in the cup. But I think happily I chose this one to go to the customer because I know they're running this through the espresso machine, and I think with that applied pressure, I think it's going to really shine there. Based on past experience, past blends, I think it's going to be good. This one, which I was sort of roasting for myself, it's really great. Right now, it's not having that boldness, which if I were to define bold is like a little bit more body, a little bit more depth. But it's definitely fruity. It's got a lot of big fruit. Let's say we'll call it like tropical fruits. It definitely has that vibe. And as it's starting to cool, we're in our 12th minute right now. Those brighter reds, brighter yellows and pinks are becoming a little bit more darker. So as this coffee ages, meaning just sitting here roasted in a bag or here on my personal stores, I think it's going to really taste nice. For my preference, my choice of coffee cup in the morning. So great, bright, deep fruit. Cool, good. So that's sort of my process is I was like, think of a blend that will make sense. Go to the roaster, consider all the things, roast it, make adjustments that you need to, and know why you're making those adjustments, because in the end, I'm looking for something here. So as and that only comes through experience and everything, but you can definitely fake it till you make it. Be like, well, I'm trying to go bold, and based on this theory that I heard, even though I don't have real experience with it, let me just try it, right? So you try this sort of like standard of roasting, and then you cup it and you go, okay, if I don't like it, if I like it, whatever it is, let's break down why and sort of correlate what I'm tasting in the cup to decisions at the roaster. Now, it's not going to be one-to-one. It's not going to be one-to-one. But I think you create little breadcrumbs for yourself as you start to teach yourself your own style of roasting. Because eventually, in the end, no matter how many like classes I think you go to, unless you're in a corporate world of roasting coffee, you will develop your own style naturally, right? Because you're the one over there, you're the one making the decisions, and you're the one cupping, you're the one making decisions, cupping, decision, cups, right? So that cycle in turn will naturally create your style of roast. But yeah, you got to cup it. Cool. Fun experiment this morning. Roaster's Choice. I decide it's a subscription. You can check it out. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.